Good day and welcome to science class. Today's lesson is all about laboratory safety rules. So what is a lab and why should we follow its rules? A lab or a laboratory is a place where scientific experiments, tests, analysis, or research is done. Since we use chemicals, heat, and microorganisms to perform these scientific experiments, which can be harmful to us, we have to follow these set rules to keep ourselves and others safe. So let's look at the lab rules. We'll be discussing general lab rules and specific lab rules in relation to protective clothing and the use of glassware equipment, chemicals, heat, and microbes. Let's look at the general rules. Firstly, before conducting any experiment, you need to check material safety data sheets of every chemical that you'll be using. A material safety data sheet, or MSDS, is a document that contains information about potential hazards, how to safely work with and store the material, as well as emergency procedures related to the hazards of the material. You should also know the locations of all safety equipment such as fire extinguishers, fire blankets, first aid kits, safety shower, eye wash station, and emergency exit. Do not run around in the lab. Do not eat or drink anything in the lab. Keep lab area clean and free of unnecessary books or bags. And long hair should be tied back. Add protective clothing. The first protective clothing that you should wear in a lab is called a lab coat, and it is used to protect your skin from chemical spills. Next, you should wear safety goggles or eye goggles to protect your eyes from chemical spills. You should also wear gloves which protect your hands, closed shoes to protect your feet, and a face mask to avoid inhaling hazardous gases or pathogens. Next, let's look into the use of glassware or equipment. Handle glassware and equipment with care. Notify instructor of chipped or broken glassware and dispose of it properly. Ensure you know how to properly use equipment and glassware, and never use glassware that appears to be dirty because there might be chemicals left in the glassware that might react with the chemicals that you're currently using. Moving on to chemicals, be alert and careful when working with chemicals. And if you're instructed to smell any chemical, don't directly put your nose in the glassware. Instead, use your hands to gently waft the vapors towards you. Hazardous chemicals should be used in fume hoods. A fume hood is a ventilated cupboard that captures and removes gases and vapors, making sure that you do not inhale those gases or vapors. Make sure you always add acid to water and never add water to acid because it's going to cause an explosion. Never mix chemicals for fun to avoid producing dangerous explosive substances. For chemical spillage, notify your instructor and clean up as instructed. Dispose of chemical waste properly. Chemicals should never be disposed down the sink or in general waste bins. Let's look at lab rules in relation to heat. Do not leave Bunsen burners and flames unattended. Never heat liquids in a closed container since evaporating gases may blow the container apart. Never pick up hot containers with your hands. Use tongs instead, and remember to face the open end of the test tube away from yourself and others when heating solutions. Lastly, let's look at lab rules in relation to use of microorganisms. Firstly, you should treat all microorganisms as potential pathogens. A pathogen is a microorganism that can cause disease. Therefore, when working with microorganisms, you should sanitize your hands before and after experiments. You should disinfect work areas before and after use. You should disinfect equipment and glassware before and after use. You should disinfect all waste materials before disposing waste material properly. If there's any microbial spillage, you should notify the instructor and clean up as instructed. We've come to the end of our lesson. Please find a link to practice questions and answers in the description. Like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.